What's up, everybody? This is Micah Spooky Jeeps here. Got some more Jeep modifications part 2 that we're going to be doing to the Jeep today. We're going to be painting the tow hooks red. We're going with a red and white theme on the Jeep. We've added some modifications to the inside too, which we'll be going over here in a little bit. But first, let's get this tow hook off and let's get it painted. We have 4 bolts. They're 13/16. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove these, and that'll allow us to paint our hook. Okay, so here we go. We're going to access the front toe clips on the 2018 Jeep Dale, and we are going to paint these red. So the first step is to remove these clips from underneath here to access this air dam. And we're going to use a trim removal tool. And then after that, there's 2 bolts underneath. I think they're 12 millimeter. And we're going to remove this, and then we should be able to access the bumper. I've removed the little clips underneath right there using a trim removal tool. I've got 2 bolts here that are 8 millimeter. Once you remove that, the air dam will come off. Now that we have our air dam out of the way, we have 2 bolts on this pan here, 16 millimeter bolts. Okay, so the next step in the process is to remove this plastic trim piece. We're going to use our little trim removal tools. Okay, for this bolt, you're going to use a 7 millimeter. This one is a 7 millimeter, one on each side, and we should be able to remove that top piece. Okay, so here's the trim piece we pulled out of the front there. That's all done. Now we move on to the bumper. We're going to disconnect these fog lights. And I believe the other one's back there. We'll have to find them. So that's just a simple disconnect. After that, we've got 2 bolts, 2 bolts, 2 bolts, 2 bolts on each side. And we are going to use a 19 millimeter socket to remove those. After that, the bumper should pop. Okay, so an update on this wiring harness here. Basically, Jeep was awesome enough to make both front fog lights connected to this one port. So you just have to disconnect this. We're going to start with these, and we should be able to pop. Okay, so now that we got all our bolts off, we're ready to take the bumper off. So like I said, there's total of 8 bolts, 4 and 4. Disconnected our wiring harness to our fog lights right here. All of our screws are off. So let's see if we can kind of wiggle this out. And there it is. Since I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and take off these aerodynamic panels that they put on here too, because I don't like the way they look. And we're going to be adding a lift to the front of, we're going to be adding a lift to the vehicle, so it's going to look kind of funny to have these there, so we're going to take those off. I'm going to try to access the hooks from inside the bumper, so we're going to take a look at that. You don't actually have to take your bumper off to access these, to remove them. So you can actually just go to your Jeep and turn your tire and fit this underneath. What we're going to be using is a 7 millimeter socket. And we're going to be accessing, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little bolts here that are holding this on. So let's go ahead and get these removed. Okay, and here we are, the last screw. And our panel's ready to come off. And if you're like me, I was so curious to see what was in these. Nothing, just a blank piece of plastic here. And we're going to remove these and set them off to the side. Okay. So we're going to access our hooks. To paint them, we need to remove these 4 bolts using a 13 millimeter. I tried to pull this bracket off that holds the tow hooks on so I could get them painted. The problem is there is this big bulge on the front. This actually contains a round metal bracket that's attached to the bumper support that keeps the bumper from twisting when you're using the recovery bracket. So this is all one piece. This actually is the hook which bolts onto the frame. Then I thought initially, well, I'll just undo these lock washers and pull it out, but you can't, because you can see the round bracket that they've welded to this to keep the bumper from twisting. So next best thing, I'm going to mask the crap out of this and go and paint them with the bumper attached. So that's kind of the only way to do it. So we'll see how it turns out. Okay, so since accessing these was an epic fail, I'm gonna go ahead and I got this all taped up just to protect it from sanding. I'm just gonna take my 180 grit sandpaper and just do a light sand just to scuff up the paint, and then we're gonna go ahead and paint them after this, and then we'll put it back on and see what it looks like. Got this side all scuffed up, looks pretty good. I'm gonna move on to this side now and just put a light sand on it just to take off the shimmer. Okay, ready to paint. I've got the bumper all masked out. All the hooks are sticking out. I'm going to be using this Rust-Oleum. Really like this color, it pops. So let's see what it comes out like. There we go, first coat. Tricky part, one more on this side. Okay, that's our first coat. We're gonna let that sit, dry, and we'll come back and do 2 more coats. Okay, y'all, here it is, the finished product. We have our hooks. I think they came out amazing. Just took my time, gave it probably 8 coats, and then I also removed those fender caps. Not sure what they're called, but it's starting to look a little more like a Jeep now. There's the steps that I added. Coming to the back, the painted hook. The recovery hook came out really nice. I love the way that looks. So there it is. That's the project in full for painting the recovery hooks. Next stop, lift kit. So I'm very excited about that. Lift kit and the wheels and tires, and several more mods coming in. So thank you for watching. As always, please don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I'll keep your informative Jeep videos coming. Thanks.